Hello, Tara here from Aging Your Way. Today I wanted to talk about the three most common types of housing options for older adults in the United States. And tied into that, I wanted to answer one of the most common questions that I have been asked over the course of my career. The question is this: is there really a difference between a nursing home and an assisted living? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. There are some huge differences between a nursing home and an assisted living. And I think that it's important for everybody to know what these differences are. But first, if you find this video today helpful, please consider liking and subscribing below so that I know that this information is reaching the people that I'm trying to help.
While there are many housing options out there for older adults, let's review the three most common. The first type are independent living facilities. They are often referred to as ILFs or senior apartment buildings. They are generally for more independent individuals as the building staff do not provide any actual care for the residents. In general, there are two types of ILFs. The first is subsidized senior apartments or condos. The federal government helps cover the cost of rent and utilities, so residents are not required to pay more than what they can afford. The second type are private pay senior apartments or condos. The cost of rent, etc., is completely paid for by the resident.
The greatest benefit of living in a subsidized building is peace of mind, knowing that you will never be required to pay more than you can afford. I served as my own grandmother's power of attorney for several years before she passed, and she actually lived in an independent senior apartment building for several years. While she was initially resistant to leaving the home that she had been in for many years in order to move to that senior apartment building, over time she developed many great friendships with other residents in the building, and she enjoyed participating in the activities and the outings that were available to her through the senior apartment building.
Now let's talk about assisted living facilities and skilled nursing facilities. So the second type of housing are assisted living facilities. As the name implies, assisted living is for individuals who require some assistance to take care of themselves. I want to emphasize a very important point about assisted living facilities. You should not expect nursing home level care in an assisted living facility. One of the most common situations I've encountered in my career is a client and their family being upset that the ALF staff cannot do certain things that the client may need, such as provide complex wound care or perform two-person transfers. ALF staff are often unable to perform these tasks due to state licensing regulations, so it's important for you to know before you or your loved one moves into an assisted living exactly what the staff is allowed to do or not allowed to do in your state. It's also important to note that Medicare and other health insurance providers do not cover the cost of assisted living. The majority of residents in assisted living private pay a monthly fee, and it is often more expensive than most people think. It can be anywhere from $3,000 a month to $12,000 a month out of pocket, depending on the facility or where you live in the United States. I should note that long-term care insurance often covers some or all of the costs, and Veterans Affairs insurance, also known as the VA, may also cover some of these costs, but it's important to verify that before moving into an assisted living. The last housing option I'm going to discuss in this video are skilled nursing facilities. They are often known as SNFs or sometimes known as a nursing home. First, it's important to know that many skilled nursing facilities have both a subacute rehab unit and a long-term care unit, although some facilities may only have one or the other. The subacute unit is for short-term stays, and the focus is on rehabilitation. The rehabilitation typically includes physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy if that happens to be needed. Medicare and other payers typically cover the majority of costs for care in a subacute unit. The goal for therapy is usually related to the person returning to their previous home if that's possible. The long term care unit is what most of us typically think of as a quote nursing home. The residents in this unit are usually considered long term or permanent residents, and the staff provide full medical care, personal care, everything that the person needs. Unfortunately, Medicare and other payers do not cover most of the costs in a long term care unit. Sadly, people are required to pay several $1,000s per month out of pocket for long term care, with the only exception being if they happen to have a long term care insurance policy that covers some or all of these costs. Regardless, once they have fully exhausted all of their financial resources, the individual can then apply for Medicaid, and Medicaid does cover long term care.
One last thing. Many of the larger senior communities offer all three housing options that I described in this video. Typically, they ask you to pay a fairly large fee up front, and then will have certain guarantees in the contract. Many senior communities, but not all, may guarantee in the contract that even if you run out of money as you get older, that you can still live in that senior community. But as with any contract, it's very important that you read the fine print before signing. I also recommend that you ask lots of questions when touring a senior community. In my experience, many people love living in these larger senior communities, knowing that they have multiple housing options available to them should they need them. And many people feel that it is well worth the money to live in one of those communities. I know I have discussed a lot of different terms in this video today, so feel free to read my latest blog post that outlines this information and even gives a few more helpful details. You can find my blog at agingyourway.net. Thank you for your time. And feel free to leave a comment below if there are other topics you would like me to discuss. And don't forget to like and subscribe below as well.